guys, welcome to my YouTube channel Adventure SG. So let's do another interesting word problem on rates. For that, let's read the question first. The tables below shows the rates of booking a function hall in a club. For club members, the first 2 hours is $200. Next 1 hour is $80. Subsequent 1 hour or part thereof is $50. And those for non-members of the club, first 2 hours is $300, next 1 hour is $120, and subsequent 1 hour or part thereof is $100. Okay, so Tina, a club member, booked the function hall for 5 hours. Part A of the question is, how much money did she pay for the function hall? Part B is, Mr. George, a non-member, paid $440 more than Tina for booking the function hall. What was the maximum amount of time he could use the function hall for? Okay, so what we have here is that these are the two charges for booking a function hall in a club. Yeah, it might be a community club. Okay, now see, those who are the club members, right, the rates are different, as you can see here, from those who are not the member of the club, right? So see, for the club members, the first 2 hours is $200, then next 1 hour is $80. Means that on top of 2 hours, if someone needs it for 3 hours, let's say, it will be 200 plus 80. And then if someone needs it even more, then after 3 hours, every hour the charges are $50. So it is subsequent 1 hour or part thereof, right? Or any part of 1 hour. It can be as low as 15 minutes, 5 minutes, 30 minutes, whatsoever. Okay, and however, charges for non-members, you can see here, are higher than those of club members. For them, the first 2 hours is 300, next 1 hour is 120, and subsequent 1 hour or part thereof is $100. Okay, so now we have to find out, let's say if Tina, a club member, booked the function hall for 5 hours, right? So Tina is a club member, so what rate will apply to her? This one, right? Because she is a club member, right? And how long she has booked the hall? It is for 5 hours, right? Now let's start doing part A, right? So what we have here is that since she has booked the hall for 5 hours, right? Let's look at the charges here. So 5 hours means definitely we have to take into account the first 2 hours and the next 1 hour, because the total will be still only 3 hours, right? 2 hours plus 1 hour will be 3 hours, and she has booked it for 5 hours. So let's first calculate how much will be the total charges for first 3 hours. Okay, so charges, so this is our part A, right? So charges for first 2 hours, or we can write it in the short form, 2 hours plus next 1 hour will be how much? It will be $200, right, for the first 2 hours, and then another $80 for the next 1 hour. So which will give us $280, right? Means for first 3 hours the charges are $280, right? Now since she has booked the hall for 5 hours, right, so even if we subtract the first 3 hours, she still needs to pay the charges for rest of 2 hours, right? So what are the charges for the subsequent hours? It is $50 per hour. So we need to calculate the charges for the subsequent 2 hours. So charges for subsequent 2 hours will be pretty straightforward, since for 1 hour it's $50, for 2 hours it will be $100, right? So it's $100. So what are the total charges she needs to pay for booking the hall for 5 hours? So total charges for Tina, would be, just add the two amount, right? So first, for the charges for the first 3 hours, which is 280, and another $100 for the last 2 hours, which will give us $380. That means Tina need to pay $380 for 5 hours, right? So that's our part A. Now let's move on to part B. Okay, now what's saying is that Mr. George, a non-member, right, paid 440 more than Tina for booking the function hall. So now since Mr. John is a non-member, right, so the rates which are applicable for him will be this one and not this one, right? So these are the rates applicable for Mr. George, right? And we know that he has paid 440 more than Tina. How much Tina paid? It's 380, and he has paid 480, right? So we need to find out what was the maximum amount of time he could use a function hall, right? So let's find out how much he has paid, right? So the total amount paid by Mr. George is how much? Is obviously 380 plus what is the extra amount he paid? $440, right? So which in total will be $820. That means Mr. George in total has paid $820, right? And out of this 820, right, we know that first 3 hours charges are this much, right? So this is the first 2 hours is 300, for next 1 hour it's 120, so together it will be something like 420, still less than 820, right? So definitely he has used the hall for more than 3 hours, right? So first let's calculate what are the charges for first 3 hours. So charges for first 2 hours, like we did for Tina, right? First 2 hours and next 1 hour is $300 plus another 120. So that will give us $420. That means for first 3 hours he has paid 420, right? And 820 is the total amount. That means the difference between the two will give us the additional amount he has paid for the additional hours he would be using, right? Which he intend to use, right? So let's find out the amount of money paid by Mr. George for additional hours, right? Because after 3 hours the charges are $100 per hour. So we know that for first 3 hours is 420 and the total amount he paid is 820, right? So if we subtract 420 from 820, we will get the additional amount he has paid for additional subsequent hours, right? So the amount paid for additional hours is how much? Is $820 minus 420, right? So which will give us $400. That means the additional amount of money which he has paid for subsequent hours is 400, right? So from here, right, we can find out how many additional number of hours he has paid for, right? So the number of additional hours, from here we can calculate the number of additional hours, right? So which will be additional hours, which will be obviously for 1 hour it's $100, right? So for $400, right, how many hours he can get? So it's $400 divided by $100 will give us 4, right? So basically he will get additional 4 hours, right? So what is the maximum amount of time he could use the hall, right? See, we know that he has already paid 420 for the first 3 hours, and then he paid another $400 for another 4 hours. So what is the total, or you can say the maximum amount of time, amount of time amount of time Mr. George can use Mr. George could use the hall. The hall will be how much? Will be, it will be equal to 4 hours, right? Then the 2 hours and 1 hour, right? 4 hours, the additional hours, then the first 2 hours, and then another next 1 hour. See, for which we have calculated the money here, 420, these 3 hours, right? So basically 4 hour plus 2 hour plus 1 hour, which will give us 7 hours. Okay, so that means at the maximum, at the most, Mr. George can use the function hall for 7 hours. Okay, so that's the answer for part B. So our final answer, right, for part A, Tina needs to pay $380, and for part B, Mr. George can use the function hall at the most for 7 hours. So that's the solution of this question. Hope you liked it. Keep watching and don't forget to subscribe my channel. Thank you.